It's a scene you've likely witnessed recently. A toddler sitting at a restaurant table in absolute silence, completely mesmerized by a glowing tablet propped up against a water glass. That silence is starting to show up in the data. According to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, 40% of current fourth graders are reading below the basic level. For many of these students, identifying the main point of a simple paragraph or understanding a character's motivation has become a significant struggle. When adults see these test scores alongside a child endlessly swiping through short-form videos, they reach a logical conclusion that a lack of traditional attention is causing this generation's cognitive development to stall. But looking closer at how they interact with their environment suggests something else. We have to consider whether their minds are stalling or if they are simply the first generation wiring their brains for a new interactive ecosystem. To understand the shift, you have to look at the exact year the baseline changed, 2010. That was the year the original iPad launched, quickly followed by Instagram. Generation Alpha, anyone born from 2010 to the present, has never lived in a world without ubiquitous touchscreens and algorithmically curated feeds. This creates a divide between Alpha and those who came before. Millennials and Gen Z generally use technology as a learned tool, a second language. For Gen Alpha, this digital environment is their native mother tongue. They don't just use these devices, they expect the world around them to be as responsive and connected as their screens. This creates a disconnect in our schools. When we evaluate their progress using static 20th century literacy metrics, we are measuring their performance in an environment that lacks the interactivity their brains have been trained to expect from birth. Literacy is not a natural biological trait, it is a forced adaptation. It requires cognitive friction, the deliberate effort of forging neural pathways through sustained attention and struggle. For decades, education models relied on linear, static systems to build foundational memory. Textbooks forced this friction by requiring a student to slow down and follow a fixed path to find an answer. Generation Alpha is growing up in a zero-friction reality. Consider how they learn to code. Instead of memorizing complex syntax where one missing comma breaks the program, they use visual blocks. They drag and drop logic commands that snap together like puzzle pieces. By removing the technical barriers, we've eliminated the gap between having an idea and executing it. An 8-year-old can now automate a task or build a digital world before they've even mastered long division. While this environment allows them to become creators at an earlier age, it removes the struggle that the brain uses to build deep comprehension. We are trading the patience required for deep reading for the speed of instant execution. We are beginning to see the neurological cost of that trade-off. An MIT study recently tested students using AI tools like ChatGPT to complete complex writing assignments. The brain scans of the AI-assisted group were telling. Their neural connectivity was sparse and disconnected compared to those working independently. They struggled to recall specific details of what they had just written and showed lower levels of mental engagement with the task. This is cognitive debt. By taking the frictionless shortcut now, these students are effectively deferring the mental work required to build independent problem-solving skills. However, this same environment is training a different strength, hyper-adaptability. Because software updates and server rules change constantly, these kids are becoming experts at navigating shifting digital geographies on the fly. This trains them to view problems differently. When a child accustomed to debugging software looks at a global crisis, their instinct isn't to see an inevitable tragedy, it's to look for the logic errors in the system. They approach these challenges with the expectation that any process can be iterated and improved. This is the central tension of Generation Alpha. They possess the tools to build and manipulate massive systems, but those same tools often bypass the cognitive struggle they need to understand those systems deeply. When this generation enters adulthood, their expectation for modularity and speed will collide with our current societal structures. A graduate who has spent years collaborating asynchronously on global digital projects will find it difficult to operate within a rigid 9-to-5 bureaucratic hierarchy. They are unlikely to accept "because we've always done it this way" as a valid operational logic. They will likely push for a redesign of the workplace, demanding environments that are as decentralized and adaptable as the digital ecosystems they were raised in. They have the mindset to dismantle outdated institutions, but to build something more effective in their place, they will need the foundational focus that zero-friction technology often erodes. The good news is that cognitive debt is not a permanent condition. Because the brain is neuroplastic, it is capable of repairing and strengthening its connections at any age. A study from Carnegie Mellon University found that just 100 hours of intensive, friction-based reading instruction was enough to create measurable increases in white matter. It proved that focused struggle can rapidly improve the brain's physical connectivity. The goal isn't to take away their tablets, it's to ensure their development includes intentional struggle. We have to reintroduce the friction of deep reading and complex problem-solving back into their daily lives. If we prioritize brain first, AI second, we can give this generation the best of both worlds. By mastering the mental effort required for deep thought, they can use their zero-friction tools to build a world that is more responsive, connected, and efficient than the one they inherited.